watch this video. If you haven't already, don't forget to subscribe to my channel for new punk rock videos every week and tap the bell to get notified when new videos drop. My name is Erin Micklow, and I'm here at Crash Fest with Antagonizers ATL. How are you guys?
Doing pretty good.
Two of the guys, Richard and Bo.
Keep on moving to get right up, tell me about go. Oh, not today. And I should think you know how to. Not gonna look away. I'm down, but I'm not full. I'm down, but I'm not full. Drive my mind. When I leave it all behind.
Let's talk about how the band formed. Obviously, you guys are from Atlanta, from the ATL in the band name. Can you talk about the scene there and how you guys started the band?
Well, you know, initially Bo had moved down from North Carolina, and he'd contacted me about possibly doing something, reviving an old band he'd been doing. So I'd had some time at that point because it was in between music. So we decided to take the old band, but Antagonizers that he had in North Carolina, and kind of rebrand it and add our own little flair. So that was what the ATL was. We didn't want to completely change the name.
Yeah.
So we just, decided that we were going to continue on with that with a little distinction from the old band to the new band.
The scene in Atlanta has been explosive over the years.
Yeah.
It's basically a major stop for bands coming from the west to the east, north to the south.
Yeah.
Atlanta's the biggest city in the south, so and it's multicultural. So, and from so many different transplants live there that they all bring their different senses of music from all over the country.
Yeah.
So as far as the music scene, I mean, the rock and roll scene's huge, street punk's huge, always big. And so we have a very, very diverse scene that's really built up over the years with some of the local bands.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Well, so you want to say
We could
something?
thank JMM in the 90s for all that, with all the Beer Olympics and all getting the different kinds of subculture bands back in the 90s.
And Anti-Heroes, of course,
Yeah.
hailing from Atlanta, they've really struck a big dent in the scene and really kickstart off a lot of things for Atlanta in the 90s.
Yeah, for sure. So can we talk about, what your guys' sound is like for those who maybe haven't heard about you
Sure.
or getting new into your music? Like, how
Sure.
would you describe your sound?
Me personally, I hear street punk thrown around. I would consider us more of like a street rock and roll kind of band.
Yeah.
There's definitely punk elements, but my bread and butter is in rock and roll, and I bring that kind of vibe to what we're doing.
Yeah.
So we just kind of mix that up with the oi, the punk soul if we can. We're not tied down to one thing, even though that's.
Try to mix it up. At the end of the day, street punk is. I try to make things as catchy as possible.
Yeah.
As relatable as possible to the people. Stories and things that we can all relate to. I try to put a positive message in it. So talking about what we sound like. The choruses you always expect catchy choruses, fist pumping in the air type choruses. Makes you want to sing along. I had a guy come up to me yesterday and he's like, you know what, Bo? We're listening to you guys, and the great thing about it is so many songs I don't know. But usually by the second chorus, I feel like I know the songs, I can start singing along.
Yeah.
And to me, that's what we're trying to achieve.
Everyone love it. You're bringing us down. Get to us, you're fucking dead. Get to us, you're fucking dead. Take, and never get back. I swear, whenever you're attacked, it's come to come back to my truth. The other way, we gotta do you. Get to us, you're fucking dead. Get to us, you know you're dead to us, you're fucking dead.
That is kind of the street punk thing, but running this channel where I do interview a lot of bands that are,
under the punk rock umbrella. For people that maybe aren't familiar with street punk, can you guys talk about kind of what that scene is about, and like, you know, someone that was just getting into it, like what is it?
Sure. Street punk, you know, as far as cutting, it's actually welcoming of all types of people. You know, so pretty much, you know, from your straight up, you know, Europunk rockers to your rock and rollers to people that are, you know, your skins, your punks that are into oi. Street punk kind of encapsulates all of it. You know, as far as I'm concerned, you know, it's basically punk from the streets.
Yeah.
So all these people, you know, listen to street music, so it can kind of all blend in together.
Yeah.
I talk a lot with my hands.
Me too.
It's definitely, more of a street-based, lyrically, it's more street-based type lyrics. You know, more reality-style stuff rather than stories per se.
Yeah. I feel like, you know, for me, I first got introduced to street punk from a lot of the European bands, a lot of British bands, a lot of bands, you know, that were from the rest of Europe. And now I feel like there's a big scene for it here, especially, you know, with Pirates Press. Like Pirates Press is bringing over, you know, all of these bands from Europe, but then a lot of the American bands that are in that genre.
Absolutely. And right now, Pirates Press it has a stranglehold on you know, some of the best American and a lot of the European bands right now.
Yeah.
And think about it is it's one big family, and so all the bands are part of this family.
Yeah.
So and a lot of Pirates Press bands have their own distinct sound. If you start listening to Pirates Press bands, you'll see that each band stands alone. It's pretty cool.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Well, so speaking of Pirates Press, obviously you guys are on Pirates Press Records. Can you talk about how that happened?
That happened actually on tour at Gangrene.
Okay.
We had a split. No, actually we had a 7-inch out on Long Shot, which was a subsidiary of Pirates Press, and we were on tour right here in San Francisco actually about 6 years ago or something like that, and we played the Parkside with Gangrene. We had a phenomenal set, and all the Pirates Press family was there. And after the show, Skippy and the guys came up to us and they said, you know, hey, how'd you like to be on Pirates Press?
Yeah.
And I said, where do we sign?
Yeah.
That's pretty much how it went down.
you guys fit with the artists that they represent. You totally are in line with the Pirates Press family.
Absolutely. No, they're a big family.
Couldn't be more thrilled to be a part of it.
Keep on swinging, but I'm still standing tall. Please stop swinging, I'm singing the blues. I don't care, but I'm not trying. On my own today, I die so long. So long, let's go. My eyes and I see my love over my head today. My love over my head, over my eyes and I see my love won't go away, won't go away. I see those black clouds overhead. Don't follow me until I'm dead. Close my eyes and laugh aside. On a week, running high. Wanna swing to the left, swing to the right. Duck and dodge and I'm out of sight. No damn cloud's gonna hold me back. Running on the attack. Now on the attack.
You guys released a new album this year, 2021. Can you talk about the making of that album, struggles you faced, your process?
Sure. Well, you know, we did some lineup changes, and once we did those lineup changes, we brought in some heavy hitters. One of the guys that's not on tour with us right now is Win Pettit, and he was a big inspiration in a lot of the writing. He was writing all the bass lines on the album with Win. But we really just put our heads together, and we added the keyboards to it. So Billy Fields, infamous Billy Fields from Atlanta, he's been around a long time. You know, he went from bass to keyboards, and we brought in, just moved some characters around, and in doing so, everything just, it wasn't even hard work. I mean, everything just kind of gelled. It just, I mean, what do you think?
It was a fairly easy process. Everything kind of fell in place. There weren't any major obstacles at all. It was kind of like butter.
Yeah.
So
like butter.
Like butter. The process, you know, and as far as the process was, you know, for me, I just come up with a catchy chorus, and you know, and Black Clouds, and I just start singing in my head. And then once you lay down the chorus to the guys, then they come. This guy right here comes with some musical genius, and Win was coming up with some great bass licks, and before you know it, Billy's in there with the keyboards, and Don's on the drums, and before you know it, we got a song. We're singing along, and we're all excited, and and there you go. There's track one.
Came together fairly fast.
During COVID too.
Yeah, I mean, we didn't really have anything to do other than work on music. So we'd get together more frequently. We'd toss around ideas, and Wynn's a whiz with putting structures together. So we just, you know, like you said, Wynn's a great addition to the band. He really does a lot for the structure and the sound of the band. So, you know, I mean, it couldn't have came together more easy, honestly.
Absolutely.
That's awesome.
And at the end of the day, it got extremely well received, and we weren't planning on it. And the album took off and did very well in the reviews. And now it's time to tour and play live what everybody's been listening to.
So how was it for you guys, you know, recording in the pandemic with like everything going on, how it was like really scary? Like, you know, was it difficult for you guys? Or
You know, what do you think?
I mean, you know, it was one of those things where, yeah, we were nervous and all this at first.
Yeah.
But it was like, well, do we want to make a fucking record or not?
Yeah.
I mean, that's pretty much it. And we live in Georgia, and things are starting to the restrictions are kind of being lifted a little bit.
Yeah.
And that's when we recorded.
Yeah.
And we were done in it like in October, and Pirates Press sat on it, you know. They sat on until after the elections. They were really smart, man. They really know what they're doing. And after the election and everything like that, and then they released it in February.
Yeah.
And but we got really lucky. We're one of the only bands that were not only able to practice, you know, with all the stuff going on, but we actually got to record during everything, you know, with masks, of course.
Oh God, yeah, like
Whatever
even
they
now.
told us to do.
Yeah, even now in LA, like going to shows, some shows are more about the mask mandate, and it's like it's different everywhere you go. But it is kind of weird. It's like it's hard to breathe.
Yeah, it's everywhere we go, and being on tour is even more weird because we go to this state and it's this mandate, go to the next state and it's different mandate, and so you know what? We're like just go with the flow. That's just it. Whatever
Different mandates, different people's comfort zones. Like it's fucking weird, but
we're all about whatever anybody needs for their comfort and respect.
Yeah.
Then that's what we're gonna deliver.
For sure. Well, I'm gonna close with that and say thank you guys so much for
Thanks
taking
so
the
much
time
for having
tonight.
us.
Thank you very much. I'm Bo
And I'm Richard.
from Antagonized ATL, and
you're
you're
watching
watching Last Rockers TV. Oi!